Today, I'm pretty fucking pissed off. Terrence Crawford, he told the WBC to basically go fuck themselves yesterday and is refusing to pay sanctioning fees to them for his $50 million fight against Canelo. $50 million! Did he forget where he came from?
Oscar De La Hoya, usually the king of internet trolls, is leaving no doubt that the laughter is over. He has been vocal and direct that he is fucking pissed at Terrence Crawford, accusing the pound-for-pound king of betraying the system that made him a star. He's shown that beneath the jokes, he is dead serious about protecting the sports ecosystem from what he calls a corporate takeover. This isn't just another weekly rant, it's a battle for the soul of boxing. And De La Hoya is ready to expose the truth no matter who it offends. Oscar De La Hoya just went scorched earth on the pound-for-pound king, Terrence Crawford, and it wasn't about a bad performance or a ducked fight. It was about money, loyalty, and a secret war for the soul of boxing. Oscar dropped his comedic persona to deliver a message that has the entire industry shaking. Terrence Crawford isn't just a rebel refusing to pay a fee. According to Oscar, he's a mouthpiece for a corporate takeover that threatens to destroy the sport we love. Let's dive into the $300,000 controversy that has turned an idol into a villain in the eyes of a legend.
How do you think you rose to that level? Through the ranking system. You get positioned to make that kind of money. I mean, come on, you're 38 years old. You've been paying sanctioning fees for a long time in the past. There's nothing new here. It's nothing groundbreaking. You had no problem when they were ranking you to fucking fight Canelo.
To understand why Oscar is so angry, you have to understand the spark that lit the fuse. After the biggest win of his life against Canelo Alvarez, a fight that reportedly earned him a $50 million payday, Terrence Crawford did the unthinkable. He refused to pay the sanctioning fees for the WBC belt he had just won. We're talking about roughly $300,000, a drop in the bucket compared to his $50 million check. Crawford went live on Instagram, ripping the WBC and claiming that the only belt that matters is the Ring Magazine belt because, in his words, it's free.
Free! It's free! How you love that? $180,000 free. How much your belt cost? I wonder, how much your belt cost? Huh? I don't see no receipts on your belt. It's crazy. Y'all be having so much taxes on these belts. You got some nerves. It's crazy that you can sit up there and have all these belts. You know, you got the WBC silver, the WBA intern, the whatever belt y'all got, and you taxing these fighters every time they fight, and you claim that you for these fighters. You're not for these fighters. You probably worse than the promoters. But hey, I wish you the best, you know? I wish you the best, you and your company, you know?
It sounded like a rebellious stand against the establishment. Fans cheered. They called him a hero for standing up to the corrupt alphabet organizations. But while everyone else was celebrating Crawford's defiance, Oscar De La Hoya saw something different. He didn't see a freedom fighter, he saw a hypocrite. Oscar immediately called out the timing. Crawford is 38 years old. He has been paying these fees for his entire career without a peep. Why now? Why, after securing the biggest bag of his life, does he suddenly decide the system is broken? Oscar argues that this isn't about principle. It's about greed and a sudden, inflated ego. Oscar broke it down with an analogy that cuts deep, comparing Crawford to a Hollywood actor who forgets who got him the role. Imagine you're an actor, and your agent works tirelessly to get you the lead role in the biggest blockbuster of the decade. The agent negotiates the deal, gets you the audition, and secures you a $50 million contract. But once the money hits your account, you turn around and tell the agent to go to hell when they ask for their 10% commission.
How do you think you rose to that level? Through the ranking system. You get positioned to make that kind of money. I mean, come on, you're 38 years old. You've been paying sanctioning fees for a long time in the past. There's nothing new here. It's nothing groundbreaking. You had no problem when they were ranking you to fucking fight Canelo. It's like my agent getting me a huge movie and he's asking for his 10% commission of all the work he put in. And then I tell him, you know what? Go fuck yourself. How fair is that? I've heard Crawford say many times that he loves the belts, but suddenly the WBC is the enemy and the ring belt is the only one that matters? I mean, seriously, Suleiman has to be rolling in his grave. Literally. I mean, it sounds like you're reading a script or something. Come on, you've been the ring mouthpiece and the chosen one since they came on board 2 years ago. We all know that. I mean, it looks like that monopoly money really got to your head. This is not the way champions behave.
That, according to Oscar, is exactly what Crawford is doing. The WBC rankings, the green belt, the prestige, that was the agent that positioned Crawford to get the Canelo fight in the first place. You can't use the system to climb the ladder and then kick the ladder down once you're at the top. Oscar's point is simple. Ungratefulness is the ugliest trait in a champion, and Crawford is wearing it proudly.
Mauricio, got a lot to say about me not paying him $300,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize. Like, who the fuck you think I am? Boy, you better slap your fucking self. Ain't paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any other sanctioned bodies? Huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you? So since you, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit. The fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanctioned bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanctioned bodies agreed to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize to you? The fuck? You can take the fucking belt. It's a trophy anyway.
But here is where the story takes a dark, conspiratorial turn. Oscar believes there is a shadowy reason behind Crawford's sudden change of heart. He accused Crawford of sounding like he was reading a script. Think about it. Crawford, a man of few words, is suddenly shouting specifically about the ring belt? Oscar isn't buying it. He believes Crawford is being used as a pawn by a much larger, more dangerous entity. Oscar pointed the finger directly at the TKO group and the powers behind the recent Riyadh season expansion. The theory is terrifyingly simple. These massive corporate entities want to monopolize boxing. They want to dissolve the traditional sanctioning bodies, the WBC, WBA, IBF, so they can create a one-league structure similar to the UFC. If they can get the biggest star in the sport to publicly trash the belts and declare them worthless, they are one step closer to a hostile takeover. Oscar claims Crawford is just the mouthpiece, a puppet dancing for masters who want to control the entire sport.
He's doing it consciously, but I'm saying that does play into what they're trying to, what Turkey Al-Sheikh and the guys that pay Terrence Crawford are trying to do, which is to tear down the sanctioning bodies and build up this TKO boxing, Zufta boxing, where they can get these fighters in there for low salaries, and they don't have to, and it's, a low pay, fight by fight, low pay, and relative to the money that you can make in an open market. They want a very closed market, and they want fighters that be able to have where the managers and the promoters are basically all the same person, right? That works with them, but because they can't do that if they have to use sanctioning bodies to put fights forward. So what they're doing is they're trying to pass a Muhammad Ali Revival Act, which will allow that model to compete with the more free promoter sanctioning body setup that we have right now. But at the end of the day, You know, it is what it is. Boxing's going to be what it's going to be.
It's easy to say, down with the sanctioning bodies when you're a fan, but Oscar flipped the script by revealing exactly where that fee money goes. This is the Robin Hood defense that caught everyone off guard. Oscar passionately defended the fees, explaining that the WBC isn't just a belt factory, it runs the Jose Sulaiman Foundation. That $300,000 Crawford refused to pay? It wasn't going into a CEO's pocket. It was destined for a fund that helps fighters who have hit rock bottom.
We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000, with $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. No response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great. It's about greatness, and I'm relieved.
Oscar listed the causes: housing for homeless ex-champions, medical bills for fighters suffering from brain damage, and retirement funds for guys who never saw $1 million check, let alone 50. By refusing to pay his share, Crawford isn't sticking it to the man, he's taking food out of the mouths of the fighters who paved the way for him. Oscar painted a picture of a selfish superstar who is so blinded by his new wealth that he's willing to let his brothers in arms suffer just to save a few bucks.
What do you think the Jose Sulaiman Foundation does because of those sanctioning fees that you refuse to pay? You know what he does? He helps these kids get off the streets. He houses ex-fighters. That money goes into retirement funds. That money goes into paying hospital bills for fighters who can't make it. So just because you made it, Crawford, and you made $50 million, you don't want to pay that fee ever again? That is wrong. I'm very disappointed. Yeah, there's an agenda here by that TKO group. And I'm going to do everything in my power to do whatever I can to protect boxing. Because this is a sport that gave me everything.
This brings us to the irony that has the boxing world spinning. Oscar de la Hoya, the man who has spent years fighting promoters and calling out corruption, is now the one defending the establishment. It feels like we've entered the twilight zone. But Oscar framed it as a duty. He calls himself the protector of the sport, the guy who remembers what it was like to be a hungry amateur dreaming of that green and gold belt. He's disappointed, deeply disappointed. He looks at Crawford and sees a man who has lost his way, a champion who has let the monopoly money rot his values. Oscar believes that the green belt represents history, legacy, and the blood of the legends like Ali, Tyson, and Chavez. To treat it like a piece of trash is to spit on that history.
Look, this is exactly what we're talking about. Fighters, don't adhere to these rules, don't pay these fees, like don't do it, don't fall for it. And then I see in the middle of the show, Nick Khan is on Pat McAfee's show kind of saying the exact same thing. Saying that, like, look, this is a perfect example as to why. I think the quote was something like, what was the quote? I saw it here moments ago. Golly, I saw it. Does anyone have it? There was
the quote is, what we're looking to do with the Muhammad Ali Revival Act is presenting a different option for boxers. We'll have our own ranking systems and the champion will fight the number one contender. Let's do things in a credible way. So they're trying to like organize it in a way that, you know, there's one singular belt, there's a ranking system, UFC style.
Here's the specific quote. I saw that one too, and I want to bring that one up in a moment, but he said, quote, Terence Crawford had an amazing effort against Canelo, and he unanimously won that championship. How is it that 2 months later, he's not the champion because he didn't pay a fee? It's only in the sport of boxing that we see nonsense like this. And he is right to a degree. Now that quote is regarding, you know, matchmaking and whatnot. And I couldn't help but see a cheeky little New York Rick quote tweet that with what? Quote, the champion will fight the number one contender just like in the UFC, and then a picture of Gaethje, Pimblett, and Volkanovski, Lopez too. So, you know, this is the way it's going to go. It's going to be very interesting. And if you think that the drama as far as title contenders and belts is strictly an MMA/UFC problem, it's not. It's been a boxing problem forever, and it's a UFC MMA problem. It's a combat sports thing. And to a degree, I will just say there's a fun part of it because you sit around and debate and have these arguments and all this stuff, and it gives us fodder. And there's obviously a frustrating part as well because you do want to see the best fight the best, especially when it comes to the UFC, when there's no other outside influences.
So, where does this leave us? Is Terence Crawford a liberator, breaking the chains of the sanctioning bodies? Or is he, as Oscar suggests, a wealthy puppet being used to kill the sport's traditions? The fight inside the ring is over, but the war for the future of boxing has just begun. And if Oscar De La Hoya is right, the biggest enemy boxing faces isn't a bad decision or a rig, it's the champions who forget where they came from.
So I do think the organizations, the sanctioning bodies, have to be a sort of necessary evil, but deals have to come to the table when you're talking about this kind of money, because like Crawford said, he's the one risking his life, he's the one taking the punches. The Ring Magazine title is free. It's the one you don't have to pay for, but it also has no power. There's no fights that are ever enforced by the Ring title. You know, you can't, the Ring, that was always my problem with the Ring title when even in the days when HBO used to push it and stop mentioning sanctioning bodies by name and all, there was a push in the boxing media. That's why if you notice that era of fighters in the Mayweather era, there wasn't a lot of undisputed champions. It was because the fad of the day, because that's what boxing is, just the latest fad. That's what they go by. Today it's just cool, tomorrow something else is cool. Back then it was uncool to go for the sanctioning body, so you didn't see a lot of undisputed champions at that time. Now the sanctioning bodies have become cool again, so you see more fighters unifying and looking to create undisputed titles. At that time, I remember HBO, ESPN, even with Friday Night Fights, they wouldn't mention the sanctioning bodies by name. They would just go by the Ring Magazine title. And my problem was the Ring Magazine title had no power. You know, it was cool to have, but you could never enforce a 1 and 2 first fight. There was no way to enforce it. And what's worse is they wouldn't strip. They'd never strip if the main guy at the top never fought the number 1 or number 2 guys, you know. So or if he wanted to take a year off and not defend the title at all, they just wouldn't strip him. So I think the Ring title also is problematic, even if it's free, you know. So like I said, I think there's got to be a middle ground where, you know, people have to know how to meet in the middle, and sometimes egos get in the way, and sometimes greed gets in the way.
What do you think? Is Oscar defending the sport, or is he just jealous of Crawford's freedom? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe as we track this war between the Golden Boy and the P4P King. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.